what you focus on, right? If you tell the brain to look for gaps, guess what it's going to find? It's going to find the gap. And it's okay you're not where you want to be, but you're also not who you used to be. It's okay you're not up here, but you're also not down here. We're not as good as we want to be, but we're also not as bad as what we think we are. There's a middle ground that we forget about. And the more we start to think about this middle ground of where we're at now versus where we were, the more joy and contentment you get. Every win is a win. You have an opportunity every day when you wake up. Do you want to focus on the gap, which is going to probably make you feel less than? Or do you want to focus on the gains, which is probably going to make you feel pretty awesome about yourself? Become your own answer. Become the person that answers your own questions, your own desires. Stop seeking for the world to give you what you know internally you should be working towards. I've lived in a lot of places in my life. I currently live in Medellin, Colombia, South America, right? I've lived in Seattle. I've lived in Miami. I've lived in Bakersfield. I've lived in Santa Barbara. I've lived in India. I've lived in more countries, and some people have lived in cities. And one of the things that I found is that there's an alignment that comes when you're feeling good about yourself. And that alignment is super critical, right? But so many of us are scared to take that step, scared to get on the plane, scared to tell our friends, well, what if we travel and somebody doesn't like it? Who cares? Like, who cares? Why are we so worried about everybody else? There's a book that I've been studying, and the book talks about the gap, right, and the gain. If you think about your life, how often do you think about where you were and where you've come to versus what do you want and what do you not have? Most humans are programmed inherently to think about what we don't have, which automatically creates a gap, automatically creates stress, automatically it makes us feel less than. It's automatic. But what if we looked at where we were last year, right? What if we looked at the whole holistic picture of life? And instead of just looking at one metric, we looked at life in general. And when I work with my coaches and they ask me to look back, I say, I don't want to look back. I want to look forward. They say, but before we look forward, let's look back. Okay, where were you last year? Well, I was in a pretty foul state of mind. What do you mean by that? Well, I had an amazing girlfriend that I didn't feel that I deserved. And because of that, I neglected her even though she saw me. And the more that I tried to be something else, the bigger the gap got and the more I pushed her away. And the more I pushed her away, the more she didn't understand. Why are you pushing the person who loves you the most away? I didn't understand because I was focused on the gap. But if I had focused on the man that she saw in front of her, and if I had focused on who I had become over the years of going through tough shit and tough things and personal development, because I need personal development in my life. It's not something I want, I need it. I need other people around me that are lifting me up. I need other people to remind me sometimes when I forget of how far I've come to be, hey, Vic, remember when we met? Like, I don't actually, like, which part? Like, it's been a couple of years. Remember who you were? God, 3 years ago? Oof. I mean, I was kind of douchey. Like, yeah, you had a good heart, but you were kind of douchey. Who are you now? Wow. I mean, I'm somebody I'm proud of. I would actually say, this is a man that can marry my daughter. You have a business, you have partners, you have a team, people that love you, people that respect you, people that want to be around you, people that flew from across country lines to hang out with you, clients who are transforming every day, not just their business, but their lives. And you were focused on trying to be somebody else. So much that she left. So much I pushed her away to leaving. Like, isn't that crazy? Never going to get that back. But that's okay. Because if I focus on that gap, what's going to happen? I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to beat myself up. I'm going to say, well, you should have done this and you should have done that, but I didn't, and I can't go back. But what can I focus on? I can focus on the last 5 months of who I have demonstrated to be now versus my last breakup. Who is the man in the mirror that is showing up now is totally different than the man in the mirror that showed up in my last relationship. After my last relationship, I went out, partied. It was crazy. Probably hooked up with 2 girls in the first 30 days. Then I felt like crap. Drank a lot because I felt like crap. Now I don't want to drink. In fact, like when I feel the urge to drink, I just stay home. If I know that I'm going to a place that's going to take me back to the man I don't want to be, I just say, you know what? Let's just make a better choice. Go out to dinner by yourself. Go to a movie by yourself. Get a bag of popcorn. Why? Well, I'd rather eat a bag of crappy calorie popcorn and have a night of drinking and 3 days of recovery. And then God knows what happens during that night of drinking because, my motto is go big or go home. And then Victorious comes out, my alter ego. And that's a person that does really stupid things because he's trying to take his childhood wounds and bring them to the forefront. And he's letting the child drive the 40-year-old ship that's gone through and matured and realize that, oh my God, like you actually had a pretty cool childhood. Like you actually were cool. People actually thought your nerdy ass wearing your freaking funny little Tommy Hilfiger and your flannel shirts were cool. You were never nerdy. Nobody ever thought you were uncool, but you did. And that's okay. Because of that, it probably made you a better person. And I look at that man and I look at the boy and I look at the boy and I look at the man and I say, wow, you've come a long way. When you focus on your gains, you get more of them. When you focus on your gaps, you get more of them. When what you focus on, right, the brain only is programmable by you. And so if you tell the brain to look for gaps, this third eye that's always scanning, it's always scanning. Guess what it's going to find? It's going to find the gap. But if you program the gains of how much you've come through and how grateful you are for being here, your brain says, oh my gosh, you are correct. You are so cool. You, we need to give more to. We need to give you more of what you've already gone through and accomplished because you are telling me to find other areas. God, show me how beautiful this world can be. Show me how beautiful this world is. God, show me how beautiful I am. God, show me what I've come through and what I'm capable of as a human. Show me the way and I will do the work. And you just keep programming into your brain all the beautiful things, all the accomplishments, all the hurdles that you've gone through. And you start saying, wow, this is a strong body. This is a magnificent vehicle that I have in my possession. I do want to take better care of it because I've seen what it's capable of in its current state. And if I had a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a super rare exotic car, I would make sure that it was in the pristine shape to keep the value high. Well, you have one that God gave you. You have one that God gave you. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's fantastic. It gets you up every day. Maybe it's time that we start to treat it a little bit different. Maybe we start to appreciate it a little bit more. And maybe instead of saying, oh, well, I'm not where I want to be, maybe start saying, wow, this body has taken me through so much. It's so powerful. And see how you shift your thinking, your business, right? I was talking to a new client yesterday. And as we were talking, and she said, I'm doing horrible. And I said, you're not where you want to be, but think about what you've been through to get to where you're at now. In a world where everybody's quitting, in a world where people are fighting and complaining, in a world where people are struggling to even make one sale, you're at 7 or 8. Maybe you're not where you want to be, but look at where you could be. Where were you last year? Well, I was at 4. That's double this year. With a little bit of structure and skills, we could probably get you to where you want to go. She goes, oh my God, I've been doing really, actually not horrible. I said, well, it depends on what you're measuring against. If you're measuring against somebody who's been in, multiple programs and training and just study psychology, yeah, you're probably going to feel pretty cruddy. If I compare myself to my mentors, $20 million a year businesses, $100 million a year businesses, presidents and CEOs of publicly traded companies, I'm going to feel really shitty about myself. But if I compare myself to the only thing that I can compare myself to is me, where was I at last year and where am I at now this year? Well, there's just no recognition of the human that's talking right now, because the human that's talking to you now is not the same human that was here last year. Even physically, our cells, our hair, our nails, our skin is constantly reproducing itself. It's constantly changing and evolving, but we get stuck that we're the same person and we're not. And so you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity every day when you wake up. Do you want to focus on the gap, which is going to probably make you feel less than? Or do you want to focus on the gains, which is probably going to make you feel pretty awesome about yourself? And it's okay you're not where you want to be, but you're also not who you used to be. It's okay you're not up here, but you're also not down here. We're not as good as we want to be, but we're also not as bad as what we think we are. There's a middle ground that we forget about. And the more we start to think about this middle ground of where we're at now versus where we were, the more joy and contentment you get. Every win is a win. Create an accomplishment board and look back at the things that have happened over the last 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of your life, 12 months, 6 months, and stop looking for the home runs. Start with base hits, baby. Base hits wins games. 2-3 yard runs gets first downs. First downs repeated get, you know what? Touchdowns. Touchdowns repeated get victories. And the championship team still walks away with a lot of losses. Even the championship teams that win World Series lose. So you have a choice. And the choice is yours every day. Am I going to focus on the gap or am I going to focus on the gains? I appreciate you. I love you. And we're just getting started here. So if you want, you can subscribe, you can like, you can share, you can save. Choice is yours. But don't forget, when you focus on the gains, you get more of them.